Something just snapped in Hollywood, and this time it wasn't hidden behind a publicist's smile or buried in a carefully worded PR statement. No, this was different. This was public. This was loud, and this was handed down by a federal judge who just made it crystal clear Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds are done playing games. For years, Blake and Ryan have been untouchable, the sarcastic power couple, the Twitter darlings, the red carpet icons. They weren't just famous. They were curated, perfectly polished. Every image, every tweet, every interview was part of the most tightly controlled public brand in the industry. And for a long time that illusion worked. We bought it. We believed they were different, authentic, grounded, even charming. But now that illusion has collapsed. In a ruling that's already shaking the foundations of Hollywood, a judge has finally said what so many have whispered for years: enough with the manipulation. Enough with the spin. Enough with using celebrity status as a shield against accountability. The ruling doesn't just blast Blake Lively's legal strategy. It exposes a deliberate campaign of media control, legal evasion, and character assassination. And Ryan Reynolds, he's not just caught in the blast, he's named in the evidence. Texts, emails, voice memos, court documents that are now unsealed for the public to see. This isn't speculation anymore, it's not gossip. This is proof that Blake and Ryan were involved in an orchestrated effort to discredit Justin Baldoni, manipulate public perception, and silence anyone who didn't play by their rules. And here's the kicker: the court saw right through it. The judge's ruling didn't mince words. It called out the games, the delays, the distractions, and the attempts to bury the truth beneath celebrity power. It exposed the dark underbelly of the Lively Reynolds machine, a machine that has for years operated with unchecked control over how they are seen and how others are silenced. Now that machine is broken, and the fallout is massive. Media outlets that once feared them are finally publishing what they've been sitting on for years. Former friends are backing away. Influencers are deleting old posts. Brand deals are quietly collapsing behind the scenes. And public trust gone. This isn't just a celebrity couple facing legal heat, this is the collapse of a Hollywood myth. Because when a federal judge says you're playing games with the truth, that's not just a bad look, that's a legacy shattered. And for Blake and Ryan, there's no witty tweet or red carpet photo that can fix it now. The court has ruled, the evidence is unsealed, and the truth, it's finally winning, it's official. The judge has had enough. Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds have been playing cat and mouse in this courtroom drama for months. But now the games are over. The ruling just came down, and it's a resounding wake-up call for Hollywood's golden couple. The court isn't buying the delays, the distractions, or the high-priced PR spins. This isn't a Netflix drama. This is real life. And the judge made it crystal clear: the truth will come out no matter how hard they try to suppress it. For weeks, the media's been buzzing with rumors, whispers of sealed documents, hushed witnesses, and high-powered legal teams trying to outmaneuver each other behind closed doors. Blake's been dodging depositions. Ryan's name keeps popping up in texts. And insiders say even their own lawyers are frustrated. The public's been asking, what are they so desperate to hide? Well, the court just answered that question with a bang. In a shocking new ruling, the judge slammed both Lively and Reynolds for obstructive behavior, denying motions that would have kept key evidence sealed. More than that, the court issued a warning: this trial is not a playground for celebrities. If they thought their fame would shield them from accountability, they were wrong. And guess what? This isn't just about Blake and Justin Baldoni anymore. This is about a culture of manipulation, a web of cover-ups, and a courtroom finally saying enough. Because when the judge speaks like this, it's not just legal, it's personal. Today we're diving deep into everything: the ruling itself, what it means for the trial, what insiders are now leaking about Ryan's alleged role, and why Blake Lively's entire legal strategy may have just collapsed. From exclusive courtroom transcripts to explosive texts that are now being unsealed, this moment could mark the unraveling of a long calculated cover-up. So grab your seat, because this is going to be one hell of a ride. Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds just got benched, and the judge is playing hardball. Let's get into it. In a scathing 12-page ruling released late Friday, the presiding judge in the Justin Baldoni v. Blake Lively defamation and obstruction case issued a dramatic rebuke of the tactics used by Lively's legal team and by extension her husband Ryan Reynolds. While Ryan is not a named party in the lawsuit, recent filings and text message leaks have placed him squarely in the eye of the storm, especially when it comes to private communications and behind-the-scenes strategizing. Let's start with the key ruling. The court denied Blake Lively's motion to seal all discovery involving her personal texts, communications with publicists, and draft statements about Baldoni. Documents her team claimed were protected by privacy and relevance exceptions. The judge didn't just deny the motion, he called out Lively's team for engaging in what he described as a coordinated campaign of obfuscation and delay with the intent to frustrate the discovery process. In legal terms, that's brutal. But what's more damning is what followed. The judge has now ordered the immediate release of all previously redacted texts between Blake and several key figures, including Brian Friedman, her former legal advisor, and Ryan Reynolds himself. Yes, you read that right, Ryan Reynolds. Text messages are officially part of the discovery now. And according to insiders who've seen some of these communications, there are clear indications of knowledge, complicity, and intent to shield damaging narratives from public view. Now here's where it gets even messier. One section of the ruling specifically highlights a series of deleted messages between Blake and a redacted contact later revealed through metadata to be Reynolds. These messages recovered from backup data appear to show the couple discussing how to get ahead of allegations tied to Baldoni's Project Wayfarer. Not only does this implicate Ryan in the broader campaign to discredit Baldoni, it also opens him up to potential witness testimony or even cross-examination. The judge minced no words. Here's a quote straight from the ruling: "Celebrity status does not entitle parties to evade standard legal procedures. The court will not allow privilege to be abused as a tool of secrecy in a case that turns on matters of public record, defamation, and truth." This is exactly what Baldoni's team has been pushing for: transparency. For weeks, they've argued that Blake's attempts to control the narrative have crossed into territory of obstruction. This ruling is a massive win for their side, and legal experts are already weighing in. Legal analyst Naomi Graves, who has been following the case closely, said this on a legal panel over the weekend: "This isn't just a setback for Blake. It's a message to all celebrity litigants who think they can play games with the system." The judge essentially said, "You're not above the law, and I'm done entertaining your distractions." The inclusion of Ryan Reynolds' communications is a game changer. Graves went on to explain that once the court allows one layer of previously sealed evidence to be unsealed, it opens the door for more disclosures, including possible subpoenas of people in their inner circle. That means publicists, producers, even content creators who may have received early leaks or planted stories could be called into the courtroom. Let's dig deeper into what exactly Blake's legal team was trying to keep under wraps. 1. Draft PR statements. According to filings, Lively worked closely with a crisis management firm and her agents to prepare a series of alternative narratives in case the Baldoni allegations gained traction. One version reportedly framed Baldoni as emotionally erratic, while another leaned on vague suggestions of past misconduct, none of which were ever substantiated. 2. Group chat logs. One of the most damning pieces of evidence cited in the ruling came from a group chat involving Blake, Ryan, her manager, and an unnamed fixer. The messages discussed using leaks to quiet the noise and making controlled releases to celebrity gossip outlets. 3. Financial documents. Though still under seal, the judge hinted at financial arrangements tied to hush efforts. One footnote referenced a series of unexplained payments from a Reynolds-linked LLC to a boutique PR agency. All of this paints a very different picture than the one Blake's team has been trying to portray, that of a woman unfairly targeted simply trying to protect her image. The judge clearly isn't buying it. For months, Ryan Reynolds has stayed just out of reach. He hasn't commented publicly, he hasn't been served, and his name has appeared mostly in whispers and redacted court filings. That changed with this ruling. The court's decision to unseal texts and name Reynolds as a relevant third party shifts the landscape dramatically. His communications both with Blake and with Friedman are now subject to discovery. That means if Baldoni's team wants to subpoena him, they now have legal grounds to do so. And sources close to the case say that exact conversation is happening behind closed doors. One source told us there are serious discussions about whether to bring Reynolds in for a deposition. If those texts show coordination to suppress or spread defamatory narratives, it goes to the heart of the case. Remember, this isn't just about whether Blake lied. It's about whether there was a deliberate and coordinated attempt to destroy Baldoni's reputation. And Ryan Reynolds may be a key part of that machine. The fallout from the judge's ruling isn't limited to the courtroom. The ripple effect across Hollywood has been swift and severe. It's one thing to be called out in court. It's another to lose the protection of your industry peers, and that's exactly what's happening. Blake and Ryan are learning the hard way that their power couple status doesn't shield them from scrutiny anymore. In fact, it's making them even more vulnerable. Shortly after the ruling went public, multiple industry insiders began speaking off the record, some for the first time, about what they've seen, heard, and endured from the Lively Reynolds PR machine. The consistent theme: control, narrative management, and a ruthless disregard for anyone who didn't play along. One veteran producer, who asked not to be named, said people have been afraid to say anything for years, but this ruling cracked the shell. There's a lot of us who have worked with Blake or Ryan and seen the lengths they go to maintain the image. They're not just controlling, they're calculated. Now that the court's calling it out, you're going to see more people come forward. That prediction is already coming true. Within 48 hours of the judge's ruling, a former publicist who once worked with Blake leaked internal emails to an investigative journalist, emails that reportedly show Blake's team coordinating with a legal fixer to plan a damaging story about Baldoni in a top-tier magazine just days before Wayfarer was due to release its pilot. The article never ran thanks to last-minute legal threats, but the draft still exists and it's bad. Let's talk about the machine behind Blake and Ryan, the tightly wound PR operation that's kept them polished and untouchable for over a decade, but cracks have been forming for months. Now, in the wake of the court's ruling, those cracks have become gaping holes. Multiple media outlets, including Variety and The Hollywood Reporter, have begun re-examining past interactions with the couple's team. Editors are reportedly comparing notes on pressuring behavior from reps' threats to poll access if certain stories weren't killed or softened. One veteran entertainment journalist went on record anonymously saying, "There's a reason no one talks bad about Blake Lively. Her team would swarm. You write one headline they don't like and suddenly your editor is getting phone calls." And Ryan, same thing. "I had a piece ready to go a few years ago that mentioned some onset tension. His publicist made it clear, run it and you're blacklisted." But with this judge's ruling, that protection is evaporating. It's becoming acceptable, even encouraged, for the press to start digging. The fear is gone. Even celebrity peers are starting to distance themselves. The celebrity silence has been deafening. For months, Taylor Swift, once one of Blake's closest public allies, has said nothing. And now insiders say that's no accident. According to a friend of the singer's inner circle, Taylor has been quietly horrified by what she's learned from the court filings and has no intention of being dragged into Blake's mess. And she's not the only one. Close friends who once appeared on Blake's red carpets are suddenly absent from her side. Even Hugh Jackman, a longtime pal of Reynolds, has been conspicuously mum in the last few weeks. His name has been mentioned in legal commentary, not for any wrongdoing, but as someone who witnessed the pressure Blake and Ryan allegedly applied to collaborators who didn't stay in line. One source close to Jackman said he's distancing himself. He doesn't want his name in court transcripts, and he definitely doesn't want to be subpoenaed. That word again, subpoena. It's becoming more common in this conversation, and it's terrifying people. Because this isn't just about a celebrity scandal anymore. It's about who knew what and who helped cover it up. Baldoni's legal team is wasting no time. Following the judge's ruling, they submitted a revised witness list, now expanded to include 6 new names, most of whom were previously thought to be protected by either PR privilege or non-disclosure agreements. Among the names rumored to be on that list, Brian Friedman, no surprise here, the former attorney who's already been mentioned repeatedly in the court's rulings. Blake's former assistant, said to have handled communication between Blake and multiple PR firms. A Netflix executive allegedly present for discussions regarding Baldoni's casting before his fallout with Blake. A podcast host believed to have received anonymous tips from a Reynolds Associated PR agency. A celebrity stylist present during an infamous incident in which Blake allegedly said Baldoni was a problem who needed to go away. Ryan Reynolds himself, while not officially subpoenaed yet, legal insiders say his name is being floated as a necessary deponent. The court's ruling opened the door, and Baldoni's team is walking right through it. So how is Blake handling all this? According to multiple sources, not well. Her team scrambled to respond to the ruling, releasing a vague statement insisting that she respects the legal process and will continue to cooperate in good faith. But behind the scenes, insiders say the mood is panicked. Her lawyers are reportedly preparing a new emergency motion to block the unsealing of specific texts that allegedly show her strategizing with Ryan and Friedman in private group chats. One legal source close to Baldoni's team dismissed the attempt too late. That door is open. You don't get to play games and then claim privacy once the court catches you. Even worse, rumors are circulating that Blake is considering a quiet settlement. Not because she admits fault, but because the public exposure may be more damaging than any court outcome. But here's the catch: Baldoni doesn't want a settlement anymore. He wants accountability. He wants the truth aired out. And now he has the judge on his side. Public sentiment has shifted hard. Once seen as a tragic case of celebrity miscommunication, this is now viewed as a calculated campaign of deception. Social media has exploded since the ruling, with hashtags like #Reynolds Unsealed, #Justice for Baldon, #Blake New, #Stop the Spin. Even longtime fans of the couple are questioning everything. One viral tweet summed it up best: the court told them to stop playing games. That's how you know it's bad. Blake and Ryan thought they could PR their way out of this. Turns out justice doesn't care about your brand. Thousands of comments echoed that sentiment, calling for accountability and transparency. For every celebrity trying to hide behind crafted narratives, this case is becoming a warning. Your secrets aren't safe anymore. It's important to understand the broader implications here. Blake and Ryan built their reputations on authenticity, charm, and control. Every interview was curated, every photo op planned, every story managed. But with this judge's ruling, that facade is crumbling. Because when a federal judge says you've abused the legal system to hide the truth, no amount of Instagram posts or smiling red carpet moments can fix that. Their brand is wounded, possibly beyond repair. And now the biggest question is, what else will come out? Because if the judge has ruled this way, once it means more disclosures are on the horizon, more texts, more emails, more truths, and possibly more people dragged into the fallout. With the judge's ruling opening the floodgates, the first wave of unsealed evidence is already making headlines, and it's every bit as explosive as expected. Courtroom observers say the unsealed texts and voice memos between Blake Lively, Ryan Reynolds, and key members of their inner circle are not only damaging, they're potentially incriminating. And for a couple who's built their legacy on public charm and media precision, this is a PR nightmare with no easy exit. So what exactly is in these newly unsealed materials? Let's break it down. At the heart of the court's ruling is a now infamous text thread between Blake Lively and Brian Friedman, her former legal advisor. In messages dated just before Baldoni's Wayfarer project was set to launch, Blake allegedly wrote, "If this goes forward, we're going to need to contain it. I don't care what Baldoni thinks he's doing, he doesn't get to rewrite history." She goes on to suggest coordinating a narrative with a trusted outlet describing a plan to take some oxygen away from his little redemption story. But the most damning part, Friedman replies with a chillingly short response handled, "Ryan's in." That last line, now confirmed as referencing Ryan Reynolds, sent a shockwave through the courtroom. Because if true, it places Reynolds in direct knowledge of and potentially active participation in a reputational takedown campaign. This isn't just celebrity gossip anymore, this is coordinated defamation. Another batch of texts reveals Ryan discussing how to soft launch a counterstory about Baldoni's behavior on set. One message shows him writing to a manager at a talent agency: "If Justin wants to play martyr, fine. We'll make sure a few stories about his ego hit the trades first. Distraction is everything." That message dated just days before a sudden uptick in anonymous sources criticizing Baldoni now looks like a smoking gun. Even more shocking, voice memos. One 12-second clip submitted into evidence includes a voice memo from Ryan to Blake, where he allegedly says, "Let Brian do his thing. You know how this works, plant the seed, let it grow, and walk away. We've done this before." Attorneys for Baldoni have already flagged this as potentially central to their defamation claim, arguing it proves a pattern of calculated misrepresentation. Perhaps the most jaw-dropping revelation yet, a spreadsheet found in a backup folder, titled Reputation Strategy 2023. This document, reportedly created by a junior PR staffer, outlines specific individuals labeled as either allies, neutrals, liabilities. Under the liabilities section, Justin Baldoni's name is listed in red, followed by notes like needs containment, linked to past conflict, denied, distance, discredit. But he's not the only one listed. Several entertainment journalists, podcast hosts, and even producers were named alongside notes about how to handle each one. One now viral excerpt includes a mention of a social media influencer with the note, "Keep sweet. Send swag. If not compliant, blacklist." This spreadsheet has become symbolic of what critics are now calling the Blake and Ryan playbook, a chilling example of celebrity image management taken to a weaponized extreme. Legal analysts say judges don't often show emotion in rulings, but this one did. In a newly released addendum, the court stated the materials presented raise serious concerns, not only about the underlying claims of defamation, but about the use of media manipulation as a substitute for lawful resolution. Translation: the court sees this not just as a legal dispute, but as a calculated PR war with real-life victims. The judge went further, hinting at potential sanctions for obstruction if further evidence is withheld or tampered with. This includes the possibility of referring the matter to a disciplinary board if any legal professionals are found to have assisted in unethical behavior. For Blake's legal team, that's a warning shot across the bow. For Ryan, it could mean even more scrutiny. In a surprising twist, several Hollywood personalities have spoken out against Blake and Ryan. In the wake of the evidence drop, actor and producer Issa Rae took to Instagram stories with a cryptic but cutting post. "There's protecting your brand, and then there's silencing others to stay on top." That's not power couple energy, that's cowardice. Meanwhile, director Ava DuVernay retweeted a link to the unsealed documents, with the caption "Imagine spending millions to erase someone else's truth, then acting shocked when receipts surface. Even those who've worked with Blake in the past are treading carefully." One former co-star posted a now-deleted tweet reading, "Some folks been living in a PR fantasy land. Time to wake up, it's clear the tide has turned." The ruling didn't just open legal doors, it opened cultural ones too. Multiple insiders are now whispering what no one dared say before. Are Blake and Ryan about to turn on each other? According to two separate sources, the couple is experiencing high tension behind the scenes. One insider close to their management team revealed there's finger-pointing happening. Ryan's people are telling him to protect himself. Blake's team wants to keep everything in-house, but the evidence is piling up and no one wants to go down for the other. This isn't surprising, especially now that Ryan is potentially facing a subpoena himself. His team is reportedly exploring legal pathways to separate his actions from Blake's, a strategy often seen in high-profile litigation, when one party tries to mitigate their exposure. But that might not be possible here, as one lawyer noted they were in lockstep. There's too much overlap, even if Ryan tries to claim he was just supporting his wife. The communications show active participation. Here's what we know about the upcoming timeline: July 20th, final deadline for both sides to submit revised witness lists. August 3rd, new hearings scheduled to determine scope of Ryan Reynolds' involvement and whether he will be formally subpoenaed. August 10th, tentative release of all remaining unsealed discovery, including PR firm emails and NDA letters signed by insiders. September 2nd, trial officially begins. This summer is shaping up to be a brutal one for the lively Reynolds camp. And if the leaks so far are any indication, the worst may be yet to come. Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds may be the ones in the courtroom spotlight. But make no mistake, the rest of Hollywood is watching nervously. Because this case isn't just about one couple caught red-handed manipulating the media, it's about a system, one that a lot of A-listers have relied on to control public perception, silence criticism, and rewrite personal histories. Now, with the judge's ruling blowing the lid off Blake and Ryan's PR playbook, that system is in danger of total collapse. And suddenly other celebrities, actors, directors, even studio execs are terrified that their own secrets could be next. A top crisis manager for multiple Oscar-winning actors reportedly told a client this week, "What's happening to Blake is the worst-case scenario. If a judge is willing to unseal texts like that, nobody is safe anymore." That same manager is now reviewing all archived communications for any red flags that might become problematic if subpoenaed in unrelated cases. In other words, damage control is happening across the board. One studio executive even went so far as to say this trial is going to change how everyone in the industry handles their phones, their emails, and their NDA letters. Blake's mistake wasn't that she lied, it's that she got caught in writing, and the court didn't let her bury it. Rumors are swirling that multiple public figures who once worked closely with Lively or Reynolds have already been contacted by legal teams. These aren't just gossip column targets, these are high-powered Hollywood names. Here's who insiders say are now on legal radar: a list director who worked with Blake on a past drama project, known for heated on-set tensions and rumored PR manipulation, to female influencers allegedly approached by Blake's PR team to run spontaneous posts attacking Baldoni last year, posts that now look suspiciously coordinated. A late-night talk show host who may have received leaked talking points about Baldoni's ego during a press cycle, a popular entertainment news editor who is now cooperating with attorneys after receiving a court warning. One entertainment lawyer called it Hollywood's version of a racketeering case. You've got a network of influencers, execs, and PR staff all working to control a narrative. If they were all acting in coordination with knowledge of falsehoods, that's defamation, that's conspiracy. Even more shocking than Hollywood insiders turning is the media itself beginning to flip on the Lively Reynolds empire. A journalist from Variety published a scathing op-ed titled "When the PR Curtain Falls, the Lively Reynolds Illusion Comes Crashing Down." The piece detailed how the couple had spent years cultivating a flawless, feminist-friendly, family-oriented image, but that behind the scenes they relied heavily on fear, access control, and backroom deals to keep it intact. The author concluded, what we're seeing now is the real Blake and Ryan, not the ones from perfume commercials or sarcastic tweets. And the truth, it's a lot darker than fans were ready for. Other outlets are following suit. Entertainment Weekly, BuzzFeed, The Cut, and even Vogue have quietly removed or edited previously glowing profiles of Blake, replacing them with neutral language and disclaimers about the ongoing legal case. It's a coordinated retreat, a slow, subtle cancellation. Several behavioral experts have weighed in on the case, with many focusing on one unsettling theme that has emerged from the court materials: control. Dr. Harriet Green, a celebrity behavior analyst, explained on a recent podcast what you see in the texts and emails is a pattern of domination. Blake doesn't just want to win, she wants to silence. She wants to erase. That's not just insecurity, that's a form of reputational obsession. She also noted the dynamic between Blake and Ryan appears unbalanced. Ryan's messages seem reactive, like he's playing the role of the enabler or fixer. Blake is the strategist. Psychologists are now calling this case a goldmine for studying the intersection of fame, narcissism, and institutional manipulation. And while that may make for fascinating analysis, it also signals just how deeply broken this system is. In an ironic twist, all the drama Blake tried to prevent is now backfiring and giving new life to the very project she wanted to bury. Wayfarer, the drama series at the center of Baldoni's dispute with Lively, was all but shelved by the time legal threats began circulating. But now, as public interest surges, the studio behind the show is reportedly in talks to revive it, either through limited release or a streaming deal. One executive told Deadline, "We couldn't buy this kind of publicity. People want to know what she was so afraid of. That's a marketing dream." And it's not just the show. Justin Baldoni himself is experiencing a massive public redemption arc. Once painted as temperamental and unreliable, he's now being seen as a victim of a targeted smear campaign, one who stood his ground, fought for truth, and won a major court victory. Sources say that Blake and Ryan's inner circle is imploding. Publicists are turning over texts, managers are lawyering up. One junior assistant reportedly quit after being named in leaked strategy emails. Now that trust is gone, marketing agencies have begun pulling potential campaigns. Retail partners are reevaluating deals. Streaming platforms are internally discussing whether to distance their upcoming projects from the couple altogether. Because in today's age of transparency and scrutiny, a compromised brand is a liability. Desperate to regain some control, Blake is reportedly exploring options for a sit-down interview with a major network, possibly CBS or NBC, to tell her side of the story. But legal experts say such a move would be risky. One said bluntly, "She can't spin this in a 5-minute tearful confession." The judge ruled, "The texts are real, the memos are real, the damage is done." Even Ryan's team is allegedly opposed to the idea, fearing it will backfire and only reignite public backlash right before the trial begins. But for Blake, it may be her only remaining move, a last-ditch attempt to salvage some sliver of public sympathy as this case barrels toward trial. A final truth has become impossible to ignore. This isn't just about Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds. It's about how long Hollywood has allowed image to replace honesty. What began as a private dispute about a TV project has exploded into a full-scale unraveling of celebrity privilege, revealing just how much power, money, and manipulation is used to silence, control, and dominate others. But now, thanks to a judge who saw through the fog and ruled with clarity, the game is up. And for Blake and Ryan, there's no more hiding behind witty tweets or curated couple selfies. The truth is out, the world is watching, and justice is coming. So here we are at the end of a story that was never supposed to be told. Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds spent years building a brand, so carefully manufactured, so obsessively guarded, that the public only ever saw what they wanted us to see: a flawless marriage, a picture-perfect family, a hilarious online presence, and a pair of Hollywood stars who never seemed to miss. But what this court case has revealed is something much darker: a side of fame where manipulation, intimidation, and narrative control weren't just tools of survival. They were the playbook, and now that playbook is out in the open. The judge didn't just issue a ruling, he exposed a strategy that involved targeting critics, silencing opposition, planting stories, and weaponizing fame to protect reputation at all costs. It wasn't just unethical, according to the evidence, it was personal, deliberate, and persistent. And with every text, every email, every voice memo that's been unsealed, the myth of the perfect couple has fallen apart. Ryan Reynolds is no longer the lovable prankster husband. Blake Lively is no longer the empowered Hollywood darling. What we see now are two people scrambling to maintain control, as the truth rushes in faster than they can contain it. And for a couple so dependent on public favor, this shift isn't just inconvenient, it's catastrophic. But more importantly, this isn't just about two celebrities. This is about an industry that allowed them to get away with it for years. An ecosystem of handlers, publicists, lawyers, and media gatekeepers who were complicit in keeping the truth buried until a single court ruling made that impossible. This is a turning point. It's a message to every celebrity who thinks they're untouchable, to every publicist who thinks a phone call can erase a journalist's integrity, To every powerful figure who believes their charm or money or fame will shield them from consequence. Because if Blake and Ryan, Hollywood's most adored couple, can be exposed like this, anyone can. And that's not cancel culture, that's consequence culture. They played the game, and they played it well for a while. But now the spotlight they used to control has turned on them. And the world is watching, not laughing. The judge ruled, the evidence is clear, the curtain has been pulled back, and what's left isn't the power couple we thought we knew. It's just two people who took it too far and got caught.